Howdy, Jacob here. Today we're looking at Booking Holdings, Booking.com, Yeah. Okay, so $131 billion market cap on $129 billion enterprise value. Essentially the same there. Internet and direct marketing retail. I mean, it's the same as an Expedia. It's similar to a Priceline, that type of thing. Okay. Return on invested capital, pretty good. Okay. Outside of the last 2 years, the 2020 and 2021, 2022 is a bit higher and has been higher. Is more in line with history where you're looking at high teens, low 20s. That's pretty good. They're getting back there. Let's look at income statement. So shares are down a lot. They've been buying back a lot of shares. Okay, good to see that. Well, it's good to see it if they're buying back cheap shares. It's not always good to buy back shares. Could be a waste of money. But $12.4 billion very liquid cash on hand and $12.5 billion in short-term and long-term debt. So essentially the same there, net out, easy. And they are gushing out cash flow. So that's great to see. So cash from operations, multiple thousands, and capital expenditures, multiple hundreds. So their use of cash is, they've actually made a couple devastations, but it probably nets out pretty even, honestly. Maybe a little bit of investments, a little bit of acquisitions, a lot of share repurchases. Okay. Looks like they've issued a little bit more debt than they've repaid, but that could possibly not be concerning. You want to make sure all this money that they're going towards stock repurchases is being done cheaply. And so, yeah, if they're buying back with the potential of, 5% return over the next 15 years, what type of return is that? But if they're buying these back at double-digit returns, that's great for the investment. That's great for the investors and holders of the shares. So huge company already. I would say that growth, it's shot down to 4% in 2019. But outside of that, growth has been great. Let's see if they can keep this up. Maybe I'll do 7% growth, 18 price to earnings, price to free cash flow on a 15% discount rate. Net income margin, let's go with what it was before, 26, 32. Maybe let's do 28, 32. Share change, they have been buying back a bit of shares, so maybe, okay, so 4% of the shares, you're looking at 1.3, 2.6, 5.2. Okay, that might be a little too much. Let's do 3%. So what I did there is basically just calculated rough math, approximation. What is 3% shares equate to? And we're looking at about $4 billion. And I think that's a fair payout for repurchasing shares because I think the company should keep a little bit of money for acquisitions that make sense for them and then reinvestment opportunities that make sense for them. And obviously, you can go into debt to do those things, but it's not always ideal to do that. And so I want to keep a little bit of money left over for them to, the other forms of cash usage, like acquiring companies and reinvesting back into yourself. And so with those assumptions, I get to a price point that needs to fall 38% before you get a 50% return with these assumptions. I think Booking Holdings, I think Booking Holdings is a great company. I think that, they do have some growth ahead of them. I think that their use of cash flow is interesting. And the fact they've bought back so many shares recently, if you were to do a deep dive, if I were to do a deep dive, I would absolutely look at the price point that they're buying back these shares and seeing if it's worth it or not. Because buying back expensive shares is the last thing that I want the company. Well, not necessarily, but in most cases, buying back shares that are very expensive, it's absolutely a terrible use of cash flow when you could just be giving out a dividend and make, that return of 8 to 10% essentially. And so I feel like be buying back shares that are super expensive where the return is, low to mid single digits is a pretty poor return. You want them to be reinvesting, making acquisitions that make sense, and then if they don't have those opportunities, paid out in dividend. But okay, I hope everyone enjoys the video. Has a great rest of the day. Thank you.